In the first decade of the 19th century, the United States was a nation with an identity crisis, and it showed in its money. There was no reliable, uniform currency. The few American coins that existed, like the draped bust design, were seen by some as frail and unrefined, not fitting for a robust young republic. The draped bust was beautiful, but it was very much in the European fashion. There was a growing desire for an American classicism, something stronger, more virile. The task of fixing America's money fell to Robert Patterson, the director of the Mint. A Princeton mathematician and a veteran of the Revolutionary War, Patterson was a man who believed in order, precision, and the power of symbols. He knew the young nation needed a coin that projected strength and stability. But Patterson needed an artist. His answer was his assistant engraver, John Reich. Reich's story is a quintessential American tale, an immigrant who arrived indentured, his freedom secured by a patron who recognized his extraordinary talent. He was now tasked with redesigning the face of American money. Reich's classic head is a clear shift. Look at the jawline, the neck. This Liberty isn't a delicate socialite, she's a sturdy, matronly figure, a personification of the Republic itself. The headband, the fillet, is a direct nod to classical antiquity. In 1808, the new large cent entered circulation. It was a dramatic departure. Reich's Liberty faced left, her hair styled in a classical fashion. The reverse was clean and legible. This was the classic head, and it was first seen by the public not in gold or silver, but in the humble, everyday copper cent. But the ideal met a harsh reality. The Philadelphia Mint was a pre-industrial workshop. It struggled with poor-quality copper planchets, often imported, which were soft, porous, and led to coins that were weakly struck and prone to flaws. We can see the challenges right on the coin's surface: laminations, porous surfaces, weak strikes on the stars and wreath. Every classic head cent tells the story of the Mint's struggle with its own technology and materials. As the new coins trickled into the economy, a much larger crisis loomed across the Atlantic. Britain's ongoing war with France and its policy of seizing American sailors brought the two nations to the brink. For the Mint, this meant disaster. Its primary source of high-quality copper planchets was Great Britain. When war was declared in 1812, the British naval blockade choked off American trade. The supply of copper planchets dried up almost overnight. Mintages for the classic head cent plummeted. The nation, already short on coinage, was thrown into a monetary crisis. In 1814, with the nation's finances in shambles and the war going poorly, the Treasury Department issued a desperate order: stop producing cents. Copper was needed for the war effort, and the coinage was seen as a non-essential luxury. Robert Patterson now faced an impossible choice. Obey the Treasury and let his workers go unpaid, or defy a direct order. He chose defiance. In December of 1814, he ordered the last of the usable copper planchets to be struck into cents. These 1814 dated coins, flawed and worn as they were used to pay his workers their back wages. This is one of the great human moments in American numismatics. It wasn't about policy, it was about people. Patterson prioritized the men and women who kept the Mint running over a distant bureaucratic decree. The aftermath of Patterson's decision was a historic silence. In 1815, for the first and only time since 1793, not a single 1-cent piece was struck by the United States Mint. The classic head series had met its unceremonious end, a direct casualty of war. With the war's end in 1815 and the arrival of new copper from other sources, the Mint resumed cent production in 1816 with a new design by Robert Scott, the coronet head. But it was built upon the foundation Reich had laid. The classic head was the crucial, if short-lived, bridge between the nation's earliest coinage and its more mature, stable future. Today, classic head cents are relics of a formative and turbulent time. They are highly sought after by collectors, with values ranging from a few $100s for a common, worn date to well over $100,000 for the legendary rarities, like the 1809. What collectors are buying isn't just a piece of copper. They're buying a piece of that story, the struggle of the early mint, the impact of the War of 1812, and the tangible artifact of Patterson's defiant act to pay his workers. The classic head sense brief run from 1808 to 1814 encapsulates the story of the early American Republic, a search for identity, the brilliance of its craftsmen, the fragility of its economy, and its resilience in the face of war. It is more than a coin, it is a metal diary entry from a nation fighting for its future. You've been watching Coin Legacy. If you enjoyed this journey through history, subscribe for more stories from the coins that changed the world.